Senator Cyr, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be with you, Sarah.
Thanks. We have a couple of things we want to talk about. The first thing we want to talk about is the Senate Capital Bond Bill. This made news recently. What can you tell us about this?
So I was really proud to secure $53 million in funding for Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard that would go to important regional infrastructure projects in this capital bond bill. This includes some big things in the town of Barnstable. It includes $1.6 million in funds to improve and actually do remediation at the National Guard Armory in Hyannis, actually right across the street from your studio space. Also, $6.5 million to construct a new building for Barnstable County Regional Government on a site at Route 134, also in Barnstable and Hyannis. Was able to secure funds as well for upgrades to the Dukes County Jail, which is pretty out of date. Another $2 million to extend the Cape Cod Rail Trail on the Outer Cape. And of course, probably the largest amount is for $41 million for a new science building at Cape Cod Community College. This is something I've been working in partnership with my colleague Dave Vieira, who represents Falmouth and Mashpee, and really something state-of-the-art investment that they need. So these are these are good investments, and we're hoping that we can get them adopted in the final bill and then convince the Baker-Polito administration to fund them.
Wonderful. How exactly does this sort of funding work?
So this works. So the capital bond bill essentially gives authorization to spend the money, and then it's up to the governor and his administration to release those dollars. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of how it works. It can come quickly. It can take a while, and sometimes not everything is realized. So the $41 million for the Cape Cod Community College science building, that was actually something we had done last time around, and that didn't ultimately get funded. I think with some of these smaller projects, for the Armory, environmental improvements at the Armory, for the new the regional government building for the Cape Cod, for the Barnstable County, those are things I'm hopeful because they're smaller projects in the grand scheme of dollars that we can shake loose more quickly.
Mm-hmm. What would be the next steps in order to receive this funding? I know you said it has to go to the governor.
Yep. So it goes to the governor. First, he needs to sign the bill, and then that's when the advocating, lobbying, persuading piece starts. And so these really all came up with conversations that I had with town manager Mark Els, with members of the town council, mm-hmm. about also members of County Commissioner Leo Kukunis, about what sort of priorities and what sort of infrastructure needs we have across the region. And I think that what it is really helpful in doing is definitely getting on the state's radar that these are sites and facilities that merit state investment.
Definitely. I know the Armory is a great location. It's a great spot. It's a great asset that the town has. But like you said, there is some remediation that needs to be done.
Yeah, significant remediation.
In order for the building to be used. So hopefully that the governor will see that and agree and improve this and send it forward.
That's what we're hoping for.
Hopefully. The other thing we want to talk about is the County Human Services Department recently did a study on opioid death data for about 10 years.
This is a really, really kind of fascinating look at the existing data that we have. And, as someone who's a public health guy, I worked for the Department of Public Health, as you may know, for 6 years, mm-hmm. prior to assuming this role. And so the county took a look from 2004 to 2014. And of the several hundred deaths, I believe it's 281 deaths that we've had in Barnstable County related to the opioid epidemic in that period, trying to say, all right, what can we learn about these individuals who died because of this disease and this epidemic, mm-hmm. And how can that inform our interventions and our prevention more in the region, right? What are we going to learn? And this is something we often do in epidemiology, that it tells us things that we may know, but confirms it, or sometimes will tell us things that are surprising. So of those several hundred deaths, I believe it's 281 is the sample size we're talking about. Over 68% of those individuals had a high school education or less. So they're what we call straight to work, meaning they're not going to college, they're not going to community college, they're not getting a further education. So they're folks who are going straight into the workforce after high school. And then of those same individuals, more than half of those folks are in services services, including services and trades, and 1 in 4, 25%, are employed in construction. And so what this data, I think, is really helpful in pointing out where we need to really be targeting both interventions and then especially prevention work. And so that in our schools, with our students who are going straight into the workforce, maybe they don't stay in high school, they get their GED, they go straight into the workforce. That's a real target population for prevention and intervention as it relates to this epidemic. And similarly, in the construction trades and that field as well, really important for us to be thinking about how we provide treatment, how we do prevention and intervention. The Senate and the House will be taking up legislation on the opioid epidemic and opioid 2.0 bill. The governor's filed a bill. That's the start of the conversation. So we're going to be looking at that. I'm hoping that I can see how do we really focus on that straight to work population through these legislative efforts. So I think really important information, that tells us about how the epidemic, at least in this 10-year period, how the epidemic has behaved, how it's been playing out on Cape Cod, and I think gives us some tools and ideas of where to really focus scarce resources.
Definitely. It's like you said, it's important information to have so you know what you're going to do moving forward.
Exactly.
And I know that everybody in the state, in the House and in the Senate has, really taken this issue on and trying to find ways to, I don't know if this is something that's fixable 100%, but definitely to help.
Precisely. And I think that it also really kind of requires some out-of-the-box thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you have that data and a data-driven approach, it really, I think, informs where you need to focus, and how do you think outside of the box from a public health intervention perspective around how you're going to reach these certain populations. These are harder populations to reach, and so for me, it's something I've been wanting to talk about because I think it's so I think it's really illuminating mm-hmm. in for how we need to be continuing to address this epidemic in our communities.
Wonderful. Julian, is there anything else you'd like to chat about before I let you go today?
Just, I hope you have a lovely and well-deserved vacation.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining
us
today.
You're so welcome.
I
Take
appreciate
care.
It. Bye. My guest today is State Senator